Happy Wednesday, my peaceful and profitable entrepreneurs. It is another great week. I know we missed last week because I was on spring break, or at least our regular Wednesday live stream. So I'm glad to be back. Glad to have everything kind of back to normal, back to our regular routine. So let me know how y'all are doing today. If you're new here, we go live every Wednesday. And so this is just what I love to do to really make sure y'all get lots of value here, and I want this group to be supportive to you. So you'll notice we are talking a lot about sales. This week we're talking about 4 ways that you can book clients in the next 10 days. Next week we've got our masterclass, so that is all about mastering sales posts, because I am working with my clients every day. I talk to business owners on my free calls every week. This is just a huge area. I see people need support. What we're going to talk about today, and then next week with the masterclass, literally how to write a sales post, because I feel like that's just one of those things people feel like they're selling, but they're really just like, hey, here's some value, and then at the bottom, like, check out my link in the bio, or book a discovery call. They're really not truly selling. And like, we're business owners, we got to sell. We got to get out there and like speak to people's problems, speak to why you are the person to solve their problems. So sign up. I'll drop the link for the masterclass next week. It is free. You do not have to be here live. You can catch the replay. It goes to your inbox. So the playbook you'll get, and the live stream replay, you'll get that as well. And then I'll be giving away a free coaching session to someone who joins. So either by signing up or joining live, you'll be entered to win the free coaching session. So talking about sales and selling is just so important to me. And like I said, the free calls I'm on every week, and with my clients, like, it's just such a big deal. Like, getting clients, making money, like, that is what our business is around. So I want this to be supportive to you. So as always, please ask questions, leave your comments either live or on the replay, and I'll be sure to get back to you. We will give away our masterclass from last month, which is just, it was my, how I pay myself 5-figure months, and 5 questions you can steal for your own, good revenue months. I forgot exactly what I titled it, but I'll be giving that away to anyone who comments or leaves an emoji. I love having y'all on here. I know we've got some people hopping on, so be sure to say hi. Let me know how your week is going, and we will hop in. So today, the thing I wanted to bring here with the 4 ways to book a client, because I see so often business owners really making things complicated, and like, our brains just do that. Like, we are always trying to overcomplicate things, or we're, consuming all this content, and this person is saying this, and this person's saying this, or I read this, or this podcast said this, like, and it's so easy to get like mixed up in all the noise, especially if you're in the online space. Like, I love the online space, and it is noisy, and someone is always selling you something and saying that their way is the thing, and this is what you need. And so I really wanted to break this down and just be like, let's just pull back, let's zoom out. And we'll just talk about 4 things that are just like the basics. So the first one I want to dive into, and in my notes, next week's masterclass will turn into a paid offer. So be sure to sign up while it's free. And then we're going to make it like a low price thing to offer. So just a note about that. So the first thing for booking clients is looking at, where did your last 10 clients come from? Like, literally, maybe not last 10, maybe your last 5, or however many clients you've had recently. Like, where did those come from? I think this is just so important to see what's already working. So often I see business owners wanting to like add strategies and do this and do that. And it's like, well, let's literally just look at what's working already, and then see if we can pour lighter fluid on that, because that is what saves you time and money. Like, so many business owners are wanting to like spend more money or time on doing these other things. I've talked to a business owner I've talked to 2 recently, that they had really great years of revenue. Like, their first year of revenue, they knocked it out of the park. They made more than I made in my first year of revenue, but they spent so much on trying all these things and different things that like they didn't take home anything. They were trying new courses, they were trying new trainings, and they really just were spinning their wheels. And so they made great revenue that first year, but they weren't taking anything home. Like they were like, I really don't think I paid myself. So looking at what's working is like the easiest baseline place. That is where you can just like pour all your efforts into it. You can like have all these other strategies in your back pocket for later, but really thinking about what's working, and going all in first. And then if you don't know where your last 5 or 10 clients came from, figure out a system that you can set up to find out. So for us, I know when people book calls, I always ask, where did you hear about us? So set up something like that in your process, whether someone's booking a free call or you're doing a challenge or you're teaching a class or, whatever that looks like when they have that like point of contact with you, like finding out where do they come from? And then if you've got clients that you've worked with and you're not really sure where they came from, just ask them. I mean, I think it's just a great way, like, hey, we've worked together, just curious, I never asked, how did you find about me? So I think that's just like such a great way. And most people want to tell you like, oh, so-and-so referred me, or, this platform, or I just found you on the Google, like whatever. It's just like, they will want to tell you that information and it's good for you to have. So this is literally like just kind of the baseline, like, let's look at what's working and then go from there. And I think there's a mindset piece of this too, where that we always want to, not that we want to have the shiny ball syndrome, but as business owners, we tend to have shiny ball syndrome. And we're like, oh, I heard about, someone's really blowing up with email campaigns, or this person's really blowing up with, small paid master classes, or this person is doing reels and it's blown up, or this person did Facebook ads, like whatever we're hearing online that someone else did, like it worked for them. And so we think automatically like we're missing out on something, we're doing something wrong, we need to add that to our business. And really what I do with my clients, so much of the one-to-one work I do is really getting clear on like, what do they like to do? What is important to them? And even with this question with one of my clients, we were looking at where her previous clients came from, and they came from cold outreach and just like cold marketing. And she was like, I did not like that. It didn't feel good. And then the process for, onboarding them as a client from when they started the outreach to when they became a client, she said it was just so long, and it was just kind of this long, painful process, and she didn't want to do that anymore. So that was just super helpful to know, like, okay, this did work in the past, but like, we didn't like it. It didn't feel good. It was a long process. So let's not do that. And that was like so much, kudos to her for being aware of that and being like, okay, yeah, this is what worked, but like, I didn't like it. And so being willing to like try something else. And so often what I see too with this is it could have gone the other way, where it's like, just like, oh, well, that didn't work. I see that a lot too, business owners saying like, well, I tried that once and it didn't work, so I don't want to do it again. And what I'm always inviting them to look at and think about is, did it not work, or did it not get the result that you wanted? Because those are two very different things. I think, if you looked, and this client that didn't like that process, it still worked. She didn't say that it didn't work, but it still worked. And so to know that like, okay, maybe, only booked this many clients, or this launch only got this result, but like still seeing that like it did work, even though we didn't get the result that we wanted. So I think that's just really important to think about, is like, if you're looking back and you're like, well, I've tried this, or I've tried this, or I've tried this, like we're really limiting our world if we're, saying that something didn't work, because inherently every strategy works. Like even the jankiest strategy out there, even the, me in my first 5 years of business that had, basically like, I'm on QuickBooks Pro Advisor and I get referrals. Like that was my strategy. Like it still worked. It was just slow. And so when we start telling the story of like, well, this strategy doesn't work for me, or if this doesn't work for me, it's like, well, let's level set and see like, did it really not work, or did it not get the result you wanted? And then like, how can we tweak that and go all in? Or for the client that I was talking about, my one-to-one client, seeing like, okay, we did that, didn't like it, let's figure out something else. And so that's when we really got into this content creation, because that was how she's going to get warm leads. So that was like a totally different way of thinking of, and this is why I have my pretty consistent content for consistent, 5-figure months calls, because getting out there is so much more about like attracting people to you instead of like with her cold outreach. She's chasing them. She's going for them. They don't know who she is. They don't know anything about her. She didn't even have any content for them to learn about her. Like it was this very long, slow process. But whereas like now we're like, okay, we have an organic marketing strategy in place. So the people we're talking to, it will be a more warm lead. It will convert faster. And really just seeing that as being like, okay. And in her mind, she felt like that it was still with the cold marketing, but I'm like, no, you are putting stuff out there. People are getting to know you. You are, getting them, helping them know you and see what problem you solve. And so when they reach out to you, they're warm. Like it's okay to have that conversation. And it was just like a thing in her brain. She had to get used to that. Like, oh yeah, like I do solve a problem. People do want it. And now that I'm getting these warm leads, like it just feels better. And so that's like a whole kind of, not to go down a rabbit hole with, where did your last clients come from? But seeing that like you may have gotten them from somewhere. And if you didn't like that process, figuring out what do you want to change about that, because that is possible. And it is something you can, change and tweak along the way, because business isn't like set in stone for forever and ever. Like you can change your mind, you can change how things go, and make it work for you. Because I'm such a big proponent of that. If our business is going to serve us for the long haul, 4 years to come, we really need to enjoy the process. So just a side tangent on that. So we'll go into number 2. Sorry, y'all, been talking all morning and my throat is hurting. So follow up with warm leads is number 2. So this is anyone that you've talked to, had free calls with, anything like someone connected the two of you and then you got busy and you didn't talk, like whatever that is, look at any warm leads. And so something that's important to say here is to make sure that you're tracking those leads. So anyone you have a call with, anyone that, signs up for your challenge or signs up for your masterclass or whatever you're putting out there for people to talk to you, like have a way to track. And this is just great data for you too in your business. Is like, okay, where is it coming from? And so you have that, so that back to number 1, where did your clients come from? You can look at that sheet and know, but you're also seeing like, okay, this is the contact that we have. They did a free call or they signed up for my masterclass or my challenge or whatever it is, but you have all that somewhere. And some of my clients, actually, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, I don't think, not that I know of, have like official CRM. Like they kind of do built in with their other platforms they're using, but it's not like a specific like lead generator or, that sort of platform. Like I think simple is the easiest. So just using a spreadsheet and tracking like, okay, when did we talk to them? How did they get into my world? What was our last point of contact? And really like knowing that you know where they came from and know where they are in that step of the process. So maybe you had a free call and you gave them great value or great results. And so later you want to be able to follow up and give them specifically like, hey, we worked on this. How's that going? I just wanted to reach out. And I know a mindset piece of that is that people typically think like, oh, well, they didn't buy then, they're not going to buy now. And that's just so not true. I mean, I can tell personally from my business and from the clients, like seeing behind the scenes, that's just not like, we think that, but really reaching back out shows that we still care. And it opens that conversation because, the truth might be they still have that pain point. They still have that problem. And if they still have that problem and you are a person that can help solve it and you keep reaching out and, cultivating that relationship, like they know that you care. And if they haven't solved the problem on their own, they will eventually buy and realize that it's with you. And just as another side kind of tangent, like I see this a lot with people who are calling other people freebie chasers, or they're just doing this for free stuff and, no one's going to pay. And it's like, in the end, those people do buy. They will buy from someone. So it may as well be you. So you may as well be the one continuing that conversation. So really thinking about your, warm leads, anyone that's been in your world or referred to you or any kind of connection, like having a document to track all of that, and then being able to go back and kind of like open that conversation. And maybe they're ready now, or maybe they just want to like have a conversation, like what would that look like whatever that is, at least, you know, revisiting that, because going in where you've already had kind of like a previous connection is just so much more likely, especially when they've had a good you know, experience with you and they know you, and it's just so much easier to like open the door and, you know, possibly get a client that way, as opposed to just being like, okay, looking around, like, where do I start? Like, these are just kind of these foundational, you know, easy pieces to go back to. I think that's all I have to say about that. These aren't like super long today, so these are things that are just pretty basic, pretty easy to do, but that we forget about. So number 3 is, what's an easy first step that you can offer someone? So this might be a problem that you solve, or, you know, just some small fire that you can help put out. This just gets people a little bit closer. Like, we're not trying to take them from 0 to your high ticket offer, like from not knowing you at all to, you know, working with you for months and paying thousands of dollars, or whatever that looks like. So thinking about like, what can you help them do right off the bat? So this might go back to the people that you've had previous relationships with, contacting them and doing this, or just people that you know personally or through referrals, or, you know, giving people in your content like an easy next step or an easy action step they can take to like solve their problem. So I know some of the things I've done have been like, we did a bookkeeping flow video with my bookkeeper like a while ago, and I always use that as a resource, and I love to send it to people because it's just so helpful for people to see like, okay, this is what we do for our clients, this is what we do behind the scenes, here's how you can do it in your video or in your business. So we just have this video that I can share with them. You know, it's something we did on a live stream and I saved it, and now it's just, you know, like collateral that I can pass on, and it helps people so much because they're like, oh, thank you, like no one's ever broken this down for me, or, you know, no one's ever like told me about this. And so we have other videos like that like when people reach out to me, or they kind of come into their world and they're like, oh, you know, I'm overwhelmed by this or by this, and I can look back through kind of my library and be like, oh, I've got a video for that, or oh, I've got, you know, this playbook on that, or whatever I've created because I've been doing this for a while. I have all this like kind of library of resources. So when someone new comes into my world and they say what their pain point is or their problem is, you know, I'm not like, hey, let's jump into 6 months of work together. I'm like, literally, here's a video. You know, Sarah and I, my bookkeeper, recorded it. This kind of tells you everything you need to know about what happens in a month. And just like solving that problem is just so helpful. So thinking about in your business, like I'm always all for not doing something and using it once in your business. So not like, you know, having one piece of content go out and only go in one place, or, you know, one video that only goes out in one place and no one can find it again. Like really using that stuff as assets in your business that you use over and over. And so this piece of what is an easy first step or easy problem you can solve for someone, like look at the assets in your business and see what you can share with them that, you know, you've already created it. So it's not taking time for you, but it's giving them like such a great, like, oh damn, she already had this sitting around that she could just share with me. Like, and you know, I'm here like sharing, you know, the sales stuff today, and then the masterclass next week about writing sales posts. It's literally like, I want you to have this information. And for most of us, it's like, we can help someone solve a problem, but we don't have to worry about like that they're not going to need to work with us, because I know that like following a template and a playbook, like, yes, it is game changing and you're going to write some solid sales posts and it's going to change the game, but it is not necessarily what's going to build a 7-figure business. Like no one, you know, built a big business based on a freebie or a template. Like that's just the truth. And so whatever you do in your business, like I'm sure people could be like, oh, I could watch a YouTube video, or I could do this, but you know, you sharing that information isn't going to take the place of them working with you. It's just going to show them like, okay, this is the information, but when you work with me, that's the, you know, kind of the how and like the implementing piece of it. So that's part of my framework, you know, is implement. Mindset, strategy, organize, implement. And I know that because, you know, the one-to-one clients that sign up with me, it's because like they can get all these freebie downloads, they can get all these templates, but like that doesn't show them how to build their multi-six-figure, 7-figure businesses. So, you know, when you are putting out fires and solving these problems for them, don't be so scared that you're like, oh, they'll never want to work with me, because information is out there. They've got ChatGPT, they've got Google, they've got YouTube videos like for days. Like there's so much information out there. They are hiring you to help implement it, or, you know, if you're done for you services, to get it done, like whatever that is. And I know we got some new people on, but if you want to let me know like what you do, or, you know, any ideas for your business, like feel free to drop them in and we can talk about that, because I know this is an area where people are like, I'm scared to give away too much because then I'm scared people aren't going to hire me. And that's just not what I've seen to be true. But if you wanted to kind of ideate and brainstorm together, like we can totally do that. So I don't think y'all are quiet today. But, you know, that's the piece I really want to say about that. Like, and then when you are solving their problem or putting out a small fire, make sure it is a small fire. Like, you don't want to throw everything in the kitchen sink at them. And I know I do that, like just inherently as a service provider and heart-centered. Like, I want people to get so much out of our free call or out of our intensive. Like, I over deliver. And, you know, I kind of have to remind myself, like, it does not behoove them for me to like throw everything in the kitchen sink at them. It kind of overwhelms them, and it might even get them sidetracked from what's actually really important that we're trying to work on. So just remember that when you are having a free call, having a masterclass, giving collateral, or whatever that is, make sure that it's easily digestible for them, so that they aren't overwhelmed or they're not getting distracted and like, okay, I got this, and now I'm getting on this tangent, and now I'm even overwhelmed and don't know what to do, because confused buyers don't buy. So making sure that you have that easy action step, and really getting focused on the one specific thing. So that's all I have to say about that. And then number 4, which is for me like huge, and I talk to all of my one-to-one clients about it, but is, you know, what is your daily sales action? Because as a business owner, we should have a sales action every damn day. You know, I do my 3 S's. It's supporting clients, it is selling, what is my other one? Social, being on social, like drawing a blank. But making sure you're selling every day. So if that feels stretchy, great, because like that's what most of us aren't, especially being heart-centered and providing a service. Like most of us aren't like, you know, used car salesmen get a bad rap. I'm not even going to say that, but like, you know, it can feel like stretchy, and we can say like, oh, I don't want to be selling every day, but literally that's how we stay in business. That's how people find out about us. And so figuring out what works for you and what you enjoy and what you like. Like, I love these live streams. I love showing up. I love having questions from y'all. That's why I love doing my, you know, free call that I do. I love talking to business owners and, you know, hearing them and giving my perspective to them to support them. So that's what I love to do. Maybe for you that looks different. Maybe you don't want to go on live streams. And, you know, also thinking about like, just because you feel the fear doesn't mean you don't do it. Like, I've been doing these live streams for over a year, and even today getting on the call, like I'm still sweating. Like I'm still sweating, still nervous. I don't know why, because I've had nothing but great experiences, but you know, it's one of those things that just because it feels stretchy doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So that's something to really play with, is like being uncomfortable as a business owner is actually good. That is actually growth. That is what moves the needle forward. And so I really invite you that like, okay, selling every day might feel stretchy, but like that's good. And that's why I love my one-to-one work, and why people hire me is because like, they're like, I'm not doing this on my own. Like, I know I should do this, or I got your freebie template, or I got your playbook or your masterclass, like whatever, but like, I'm still not doing it, or I'm kind of doing it. And, you know, we go through and look through and it's like, you're not really doing it. And so that's the thing to know, that like, it's good to show up, and even if it feels stretchy, and then it doesn't need to feel stretchy in terms of like, okay, I don't want to dance on reels, you know, and you know, I've done it before, but it wasn't really me. And so seeing that like you can have those things where you're like, I did it, I tried it, it's not really me, but not tapping out because you're like, oh, what are people gonna think? Because I think the best mindset to take as a business owner is that like what people think of me is none of my business. I think there's actually a book called that, but I heard it from Dr. Wayne Dwyer, so I don't know who actually came up with it. But I love that mindset of what people think of me is none of my business. And so obviously we're not doing selling in an icky, gross, like sleazy way. We can do it in a heart-centered way and show up, because the consistency and selling consistently is like changes the game. And that's why I'm doing like the masterclass next week and the one that's in May I've already got planned. It is all about selling and being consistent and doing it in a way that feels good, because it is such a game changer in your business. And then also we earn the right to sell because we're providing value. So it's this even energy exchange. And that's why with my free content call, I'm always, working with people to get a schedule or whatever consistency looks like for them to really figure out how they're giving amazing value on a regular basis. Because when you're doing that, selling doesn't feel icky. I've heard of like the 1, 2, 3 punch kind of thing or whatever it is, but like as long as you have value going out and you're giving value, like you can easily sell on the back end of that. That's why with these live streams, I don't feel icky or gross selling, because like I'm showing up and giving you tangible things to use in your business that will make you money and book you clients. And so for me, it's like, it's okay to sell, because that's literally like, part of the reason I'm here is selling and to provide value. Like it can be both. I recently saw someone in their comments on Instagram, like they posted a post and they were like, people over profits. And like, I get it. Like I am heart-centered and I serve the shit out of my clients. And I think it can be both. I don't think you have to like serve the shit out of your people and not make any money. And then also don't want to like just make tons of money and your people don't get a good experience. It can literally be both. And that's kind of when business feels really good and feels sustainable. And so part of the other, sales action is maybe if you don't have consistent online content, looking at your personal connections. So reaching out to people, text messages, emails, like just people in your personal life or people that you used to work with or anything, like people who know you, like you and trust you and have built a relationship already, and then letting them know like, hey, I started a business. This is the problem that I solve. If you know anyone, pass along this free call that I have, or pass along, this downloadable PDF that I created. Like, this is the problem I solved. Do you know anyone? If you know anyone, please refer them to me, kind of thing. Like, it doesn't have to be icky or gross. We're literally just letting them know that like, we're here, we have a business, this is the problem that we solve. So really making sure that you reach out to people in your network who may know someone, because you literally never know. And that's something my aunt taught me. And I feel like I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, maybe, my Aunt Mary Lou. When I started my business, she had a farm. She used to be a big businesswoman, and then she went to Tennessee and like built a farm and sold yarn from the llamas that she sheared. But I remember her saying like so clearly, like, tell everyone that you have a business. Like, even the lady at the grocery store, like, tell everyone, because you just never know. And I thought that was such great advice, and it's obviously stuck with me because I've probably talked about it on the live streams twice, but like, you just never know. And I think that's just such a fun reminder, just looking at my notes. And just like having that collateral that you've built up, so that when you do reach out to your personal connections, you're telling them like exactly what that person can do. It's not just like, hey, if you know anyone, send them a number, but you're literally giving them like a next step. Like, hey, here's the link to my website. Here's a link to my free call. Here's a link to whatever, download a PDF, like anything that you can give them that you created that would be a resource, like is just so valuable, so that person can easily pass it on. So they're like, oh, hey, yeah, my friend sent me this. And like, it's such an easy lift for them, because if they're doing the referring, we just want to make sure that we make it easy for them. Like they're doing us a favor. They're going out of their way. They're sending information that they didn't have to. So just making it like a copy and paste, or yeah, here's how you get in touch with her. Because if you don't have an easy way to get in touch with you, they're so much less likely to send it. They're like, I guess she has a website. I don't know what it is, or her name is this, but it's hard to spell and blah, blah, blah. Like, just give them a like, here it is, hand it over, make it easy. Even sometimes with my bookkeeping stuff, I'll send it to like CPAs, like here, you know, like we created this video. If you know any clients that need, you know, want to use this, great. Here's a, you know, resource for them. So it's just something that like serves your people and helps the people who want to refer work to you, because I'm sure people in your personal network want to send you work. They want to send you clients. They love you as a person, and they're like, yes, let me send my, you know, dear friend Sally to see you. And then the bonus of all these, we went through the 4 things, which I'll just recap that. So the 4 ways to book a client in the next 10 days. Where did your last 10 clients come from? You know, what area works that you can pour lighter fluid on is number 1. Number 2, follow up with any warm leads, anyone you've had previous contact with, anyone you've had a call with, anyone that's kind of, you know, commented on your post or been in your world, like anything like that. Follow up with them. Continue the conversation. Open the door. You know, you're not coming in hot trying to sell to them. You're literally just opening the door to continue talking. Like, hey, I was thinking about you. I saw this. It made me think of you. You know, whatever that looks like and whatever feels good to you, you know, just keeping the conversation going. And then giving, you know, people an easy first step, like helping solve a small problem, putting out a small fire for them. Like that is just the easiest way to get someone to be like, oh, damn, yeah, thanks. That video was really helpful. And yeah, let's talk a little bit more. You know, just something small. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to open a whole can of worms. It doesn't have to be like everything in the kitchen sink. Just figuring out a way that you can support them in a small way that's easy for them. And then the 4th is thinking about your daily sales action, whether that is online, whether it is personal outreach, like literally doing something every single day that is selling. And so the bonus that I want to give you is like letting yourself create the pop moment, like letting the momentum build, seeing your process and seeing everything as working. Because so often in business, we want to check the box that something is working or it's not working. And so just letting yourself like pick up the breadcrumbs that like, oh yeah, like people like this video, or oh, that got shared, or, you know, whatever it is, but just seeing this as like, this is a machine that we're building. Like it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, and you can get a client in the next 10 days from these exact actions. You could reach out to someone and they could be ready to buy. And baking this into your process, it's not just like, oh, we're halfway through the month and I don't have any clients. Like, what do I need to do? Like, this is just literally stuff that you're always doing so that you can always be getting clients, because I want you to get clients in the next 10 days, and I want you to get them the next 10 days after that, and the next 10 days after that, and after that. So when we're in this like feast or famine, like I reach out and do all this stuff and then I pull back, and then I reach out and pull back, like we lose momentum. So really thinking of all these things as like not just strategies for the next 10 days, but that you're baking into your strategy for always, forever and ever, because that's what creates the pop moment. And definitely these are basic things. You can add and stack strategies on top of these. You can expand these strategies and make them more complicated. But what we're really trying to do is get back to basics and keep that going. Even if you're on vacation, like you still have content going out. You still have ways people can get in touch with you, like whatever that looks like. Like I was on vacation last week. I think I booked like 3 calls while I was gone, like literally from stuff going out or from people finding things that I had already posted. Like I came back and had like messages in my inbox, and it was just an amazing feeling, and it feels so good to know that like I'm on vacation. I was literally away from the internet for a few days and people still booked, and like I'm still getting clients during that time. So this is just such an amazing way to see that like things are working, and it's not just getting clients the next 10 days, it's for the next 10 months, the next 10 years, because that is the point of being a business, so it can serve you for years and years to come. So I think that's all the things I have to say about that. I'm excited to share all this with you today. This is literally stuff that I'm working with my one-on-one clients on. You know, we are doing, you know, this is just foundational stuff that we always come back to. It is always so helpful to have. And, you know, if you're feeling like, I don't really know what the next best stuff for someone to take with me is, or I don't know, you know, kind of how to put out a small fire for them, or I don't even know like how to sell, like, okay, I need to sell every day, but like literally where am I doing this? What am I doing? What am I saying? Like, that's why I have these consistent content for consistent 5-figure months calls. Like, we will work on a strategy for you, whether it is figuring out a schedule, whether it's figuring out your messaging, whether it is figuring out like what's the next step for that person to take to get to know you and to get into your world. Like, this is what we're doing on this free call, and people walk away with so much value. I get so many compliments. I love doing these calls. I love talking to business owners. It's just a joy. Like, this is what I love doing. So the link is in the group. I'm going to drop a link below for the masterclass next week, because sales posts are it, y'all. Like, this is the stuff to pour lighter fluid. If you're already getting content out there, writing some rockin' sales post is really going to like kick it off to the next level. And I see this all the time with people's posts. Like, I'll be like, oh, that looks nice. But like, it literally doesn't occur to me that I could buy it or that I could have that as a service. And so like having a sales post that's like, oh yeah, that is my problem. Actually, oh yeah, that would be nice. Like, it's just such a game changer. And so I'll drop the link below, because that's what I really want y'all to focus on this week. Obviously grab the free call if you want, because that is always out there. But this masterclass is limited time. It will turn into a paid offer. So, join so that you can get that collateral and so it can serve you in your business. So we'll be back next week with the masterclass. I'm excited, and drop your comments, questions. I'll see you later. Bye.